Hey, are you an agent investing a bunch of money in Zillow right now and not getting the ROI you want? Or maybe you're just looking into Zillow for the first time, but you're getting scared of the price tag that you're seeing. Well, today is going to be for you. We're going to go over some best practices that I've been using for the last 7 years, converting Zillow leads at a really high pace. So we're going to go over everything you need to do from beginning to end to increase your ROI with Zillow and convert more leads and sell more homes. Now, we're going to be focusing just on live transfer leads. Maybe we'll do nurture leads another time, but the biggest bang for your buck is going to be those live transfers that you get from Zillow. When your phone rings, you answer, you say hello, and you start having a live conversation with a person right then and there. And this is where the entire sales funnel starts, with the initial phone call. And this is where one of the biggest complaints with Zillow comes from that I hear from agents is that we are constantly on the go as agents. It's hard to A, always answer that phone call, and then B, be able to look up the property that the person is inquiring about. And here's the biggest thing. You don't need to look at the property that they're inquiring about when they give you a phone call. It really doesn't matter in this process whatsoever. That initial phone call, the biggest things you want to be focusing on is A, setting an appointment, because we know that most people work with the first agent they meet, and B, figuring out why they're calling about the home that they're calling on. So a lot of times my initial phone call goes like, "Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Thanks for calling. I see you're looking at 123 Main Street. Looks like a great property. Hey, while I'm working on scheduling this, what are some things about this property that you really like?" This is a really important step. We need to figure out what it is about this property that they like. Maybe it's a specific neighborhood or a city or a school district or master bath, fenced-in backyard, whatever it is. We want to figure out why they're calling on this particular property, because when we follow up with them, when we give them a phone call after our initial phone call, we want to be prepared to show them other properties that might be interested with them as well. Because as you know, if you've been working with Zillow, there's a really, really good chance that the home they're inquiring on is probably under contract already. So we need to make sure that we are deep diving the property they are inquiring about so we can potentially get them in touch with other homes that they might be interested in as well. Again, we want to make sure we have enough information to schedule a showing with them. And it might not be on the property that they're inquiring about. It might be something else entirely. It might be something else off market, which would be great as well. But again, initially on that phone call, we want to make sure we are deep diving. What about this property do you like? And keep asking why. If they just say, "Hey, I like the neighborhood," great. What about the neighborhood? Is it a specific school district that you like? Do you like that it's on a cul-de-sac? What else about the home do you really like? Because there's a lot of other homes for sale in this neighborhood. Why did you click on this specific one to set up an appointment on? Keep asking why, try to get as much information as we can. And once we think we have enough information about why they clicked on that particular property, 2 more things we want to do on this initial phone call before we hang up with them. One, we want to make sure that we let them know we are not the listing agent. So many people call Zillow expecting to get a hold of a listing agent because maybe they're already working with an agent and they don't want to bother their agent. They just want to see the property and they think the listing agent's the best person to do that with. So I always do a couple of things to try and qualify them to see if they're already working with an agent before I just straight up ask them, "Hey, are you working with an agent?" Which, yes, there is a time and a place for that, but your initial phone call is not it. The initial phone call is about building value and getting to know this potential client that you might be working with for a long period of time. So one of the things I like to do is I like to just repeat when they scheduled the appointment for. "Hey, I see you scheduled 123 Main Street for Tuesday at 5. Is that correct?" Great. I need to get in touch with the listing agent, make sure that time works for them. So I'm going to be work on scheduling this at that time. Typically when they hear this, they know that I am not the listing agent. And sometimes they pump the brakes right there. And that could be the end of the conversation right there and get them in touch with whoever they want to. But for most people, they just say, "Yep, that sounds great." And it opens me up to letting them know, "Hey, I'm going to need to call you back in a little bit to confirm." Once I've talked with the listing agent and they've gotten a hold of sellers, that next Tuesday at 5 is the time that works for us. Is this number that you're calling from that I'm talking to you on right now the best way to get a hold of you? A lot of times people might be at work when they're doing this on their lunch break. They might say, "Yes, this is a great number to get a hold of me, but don't call me till after 5 or something like that." And then we know the best time to reach out to them and have a great conversation with them after this initial phone call. And then I typically end the conversation with, hey, and just so I know, have you toured properties before? Or is this your first time out checking out some homes? Again, this is a qualifying question at the end of the day. If they say, oh yeah, I've looked with my realtor a whole bunch of times, then hey, they're working with a real estate agent. Most time you get, I hadn't really looked at homes in a couple of years since I bought my last house. That's also an important piece of the puzzle, knowing if they've ever bought a house before or if they're new home buyers. And it's hard, you can't always tell by the home that they're going on, despite price points or anything like that. You might be very surprised. Sometimes people are trading up, trading down, whatever it happens to be. So make sure you qualify them there so that, again, when you have a follow-up phone call with them, you can have a very educated conversation and you can take control of it on the next follow-up call. So once they let me know if they've ever looked at homes before, say, hey, that's great. I'm going to work on scheduling this property for Tuesday at 5. Once I get confirmation, I will give you a phone call back. So wait to hear back from me. Don't show up Tuesday at 5 until you get a phone call back from me. And just so you know, this is the number I'm going to be calling you at. It's important to say that part too, if you're not going to be calling through your Zillow number. Some people like calling through the Zillow app. Some people do not. I typically don't. I'm going to follow up with my personal cell phone. So I let them know, hey, just so you know, here's my phone number. Be on the lookout for it. I'm going to give you a call once I have everything set up. And once that initial phone call is over, now we're getting into the nitty gritty part. Now I'm going to sit down once I get to my computer. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to verify the status of the property that they called on. Even if it's under contract, I want to make sure I give a phone call to the listing agent and see exactly where things are at. I have had so much success giving a listing agent a call when something's under contract and they're still in inspection. I say, hey, I have a buyer. They're really interested in your property. They're just coming back online right now looking at homes. Where are you guys at in the sales process right now? How is the inspection going? What's happening, getting you up to speed. And so many times you'll have the listing agent, hey, yeah, we're in the inspection, but they are just beating us up on the inspection right now. Things aren't going great. We might let this one go. Absolutely get in there, get a showing in. If you can get your client in, while it's still contingent on an inspection, be there for a backup offer. That's such a great way to get their offer accepted. You should be doing that with all of your clients, regardless, not just Zillow Leads. Make sure you're verifying where they're at in the process, not just saying, oh, it's pending or, oh, it's contingent on inspection, and just walking away from it. You have no idea exactly where they're at in that sales process, so always verify that part. Once I've verified that, I want to take all that information I gained in that initial phone call, and I want to do my research, try to figure out as many homes as I can that are also going to fit their needs. Again, if they're looking for a specific school district, whatever it happens to be, I'm going to go through the MLS. I'm going to see what I can look for. And do not forget to look at your brokerage's pocket listings at this point in time too. Nothing's going to help you convert a lead like showing them a home that is not on Zillow and it isn't even on the MLS. If you have the inside track on some homes, you're instantly going to show them major credibility and value, and your probability of keeping them as a long-term client skyrockets if you can do that. So make sure you're doing your due diligence and make sure you're paying attention to homes that are listed as coming soon if your MLS has that. Again, if you can tell them, hey, this home isn't online yet, but it's coming on in a week, you're providing a lot of value to them and they are more willing to work with you long-term if you're able to provide value. All right, once I know the status of the home that they called on and I've done my due diligence to look through the market to see what else is on there, I am ready to do my follow-up call with them. And this is a very important phone call, so make sure you're in a good spot to do it. Don't want to be anywhere loud or noisy. This might be a long phone conversation. The goal of this conversation is to schedule an appointment. Notice I said schedule an appointment, not necessarily schedule a showing. Like I said, if you worked with Zillow Leads before, there's a really good possibility that the home that they inquired on isn't going to be available for showing. And in these limited inventory markets that we're seeing throughout the US right now, there's a decent chance there's probably nothing else that might fit the bill for them to show them. So we want to make sure that we are at least trying to set up a buyer consultation with them. And I try to do this buyer consultation even if the property that they want to look at is available for showing. It's so important to sit down and build rapport with them outside of the normal showing of a home. I see this so many times with agents where they want to book the showing and try to build all this rapport in a 10 to 15 minute showing. And it's really hard to do because you need to talk about the house. Likewise, they might not be as interested in talking with you. They just want to focus on the house as well. So a lot of times what I'm going to do is try to set up a quick half-hour meeting before that first showing. So if we're looking at 123 Main Street Tuesday at 5, so my follow-up phone call starts something like this. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. This is Steve. We talked via Zillow about an hour ago. You inquired on 123 Main Street. Want to look at it Tuesday at 5. Hey, great news. It's available for showing. I know you haven't looked at properties in a while, and the buying process has really changed since the last time you looked at a house. So what I like to do with a lot of my clients that haven't toured homes in a while is I'd like to kind of meet with them before our first showing and just go over the process a little bit more. There's a Caribou not too far from 123 Main Street. Are you able to meet there at 4:30 right before the showing, just so I can better understand what you're looking for and walk you through the buying process, so that if we do like 123 Main Street, that we are all ready to go and put an offer in as quickly as possible? Does that work for you? It's even easier if they've never bought a house before, right? 'Cause a new home buyer, there is a lot of uncertainty. And if you're able to say, hey, I'm willing to meet with you a half hour before the showing, that's going to build a lot of value to them. And the conversation is very, very similar. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. This is Steve. We talked through Zillow about an hour ago. You inquired on 123 Main Street. Great news. It's available for showing Tuesday at 5. I remember when we talked before, you said you had never bought a house before, and I've worked with a lot of first-time home buyers, and they really have a lot of questions about the process. And a lot of times when I'm meeting with them, I like to meet before we do our first showing, just so we can have a nice clear-cut expectation of what to expect at your first showing, as well as answer any questions you have about the buying process. So if you do like 123 Main Street, that you can feel confident at what the process is going to look like, and you can put a strong offer in if we like it. Like I said, a lot of my clients really find a lot of value in this. Is this okay with you as well? I would love to meet you at the Caribou at 222 Main Street at 4:30. Does that work for you? This meeting is especially important if the property they inquired on isn't available for showing and there's nothing else to show them, right? So when we have that initial phone call, like I said, we want to try to set an appointment. And sometimes that phone conversation goes something like this. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, this is Steve. We talked via Zillow an hour ago. You inquired on 123 Main Street. Hey, I just looked up the property here, did a little research, and it looks like that property is already under contract. I did talk with the listing agent, and it's a pretty solid contract right now. They're not allowing any other showings at this time. Now, I also looked within the area. You said you really wanted to be in this elementary school, and at the moment, I can't find anything that fits that criteria. But if you're open to it, I know you wanted to look at 123 Main Street Tuesday at 5. Well, I'm still available at that time. I would love to sit down and hear more about exactly what you're looking for, so that if I see something come across my desk that would fit your bill, that I know exactly what you're looking for and I can get you in there. I do a lot of business in this area. I have off-market opportunities come across my desk all the time. So if I can figure out exactly what you're looking for, I'm pretty confident that I can probably find something for you even before it hits the market on Zillow. Are you still available Tuesday at 5 to meet at Caribou at 222 Main Street? I would love to sit down just to have a conversation with you. Now, it's important when you're trying to set up this appointment that you are providing value and not just trying to waste their time and try to sell them on something. You want to make sure that you're making it about them. Hey, I'm trying to figure out exactly what you're looking for so that if it does come across my desk, I know where to send it right away. And it's really easier for me to do that if we sit down and go through that. You can also add lines like, additionally, if you've never bought a home before, or if they haven't bought a home in a while, there's a lot to the buying process. It may have changed since the last time you bought a house. I would just love to sit down, answer any questions you have about the buying process, so we have a good game plan. So if something does pop on the market, we can move on it quickly, and we're not trying to fuddle around with, getting pre-approvals or anything like that. In this competitive market, low inventory homes, things like you're looking for are typically moving pretty quickly. So we want to make sure we have a good game plan so we can make something happen. Again, it's all about trying to set that appointment and get face-to-face with them. Most people are going to work with the first agent that they meet, so it needs to be you, even if you don't have a home to show them. When you get to this first appointment, It's all about demonstrating value. Again, sit down, show them the local trends of the neighborhoods that they're looking for. Typically, I'm going to have a folder with me right there. It's going to have my resume in there, anything good about my brokerage that I have in there, market data within that area, specifically homes that they're looking for. So if there's nothing for them to show them, I'm probably going to show them the last couple that have sold in that area that may be pending or who have closed escrow already and walk them through. Hey, they were listed for this, they sold for this, they were on the market for this long. Walk them through what that process is going to look like. I'm also going to have my agency disclosure in that folder if your state requires that. Minnesota does, the first substantive contact. So again, that first showing, this first meeting would qualify for that. So make sure you have any disclosure documents that you have to have at this process as well. So once you wrap up the meeting, hopefully you're going to be showing them a house. If you have a showing or multiple showings, this is the time to, again, just show off who you are, show off your expertise of the home in general. I have some other videos on, showing homes, things like that. Feel free to look back at those if you want some tips and tricks there. But once those showings are done, once that meeting is done, the most important part of converting these Zillow leads is your follow-up. Fortune is in the follow-up. This is for any prospect that you're going to meet. This is especially important for online leads like Zillow. Now, if you're meeting with somebody from your sphere, you might not have to work as hard here, but if you have a Google lead, a Facebook lead, Zillow lead, whatever it happens to be, you need to have a good follow-up system in place. And with Zillow, there's two things that I really like to do that really help set me apart and make sure I'm going to convert this lead. First and foremost, your follow-up needs to provide value or it's not going to go anywhere. Too many agents I talk to with Zillow just want to set them up on a search portal, and I think that's providing value. In this day and age, setting up a search portal provides zero value. They can go on realtor.com, they can go on Zillow.com, they can go wherever they want and search homes. You setting them on a search portal is not going to provide value. This cannot be part of your follow-up. In fact, most of the time when I meet with a Zillow lead, I am not setting them up on a portal. I'm setting up a portal, but I'm not sending it to them. What I'm doing is I'm sending it to me. And in the subject line, I am saying for this client, right? For Mr. and Mrs. Smith, 123 Main Street. And I am setting up a search portal based off the criteria that I know that they're looking for based off our phone call and our meeting. If something hits that portal, I am immediately sending it to them saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, was thinking about you, saw this one, just hit the market about an hour ago. It fits a lot of your criteria. Let me know if you're interested in taking a look at all. That is providing value. They are already getting spammed by Zillow and any of the other online search portals that they've signed up for. They're probably getting 6-7 emails a day with, 9 to 12 properties in it there. But you sending them one specific property to look at, they're much more likely to focus in on that property, take a look at it, and want to set up a showing when you've sent it to them personally. Additionally, I'm going to put them in my CRM. I'm going to put as many tags attached to them as I can. Now, again, I have done previous videos on how to set up your CRM, but the gist is anytime you're putting somebody in there, use those hashtags. They're super powerful and they allow you to send emails to people based off their tags. So if I know they're a football fan or they're a cat person or a dog person or looking at only a specific city or only a specific middle school, I'm going to hashtag that. Hashtag football, hashtag cat, hashtag dog, whatever it happens to be. So that when something does happen in that world, I can send out a email to a lot of people for these subjects. For instance, it's the middle of September right now. Football just started. So football season comes around, everybody hashtag football, gets an email that says, hey, football season's right around the corner. I'm super excited. I can't wait to sit on the couch all day, watch football on Football Sunday. Who do you think's going to win the Super Bowl this year? I like whoever happens to be. Actually, this year, I really think it's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. But you can put it in there, make it sound pretty personal, but you can send it out to a lot of people at once, and it still comes off super duper personal. Important to do this with Zillow Leads too. You want to make sure that you are still maintaining contact with them, providing value to them in a way that isn't just spammy. Again, when they click that button on Zillow, they're going to get a lot of spam. They're going to have lenders reaching out to them. They're going to get property updates. They're going to get information from Zillow about how to buy a home, how to qualify, how to do all these things. So your basic, just generic drip, it's probably going to get lost in the mix. You need to make it more personal than that. Like I said, individual properties for them to look at, and use your hashtags in your CRM and talk directly to them as things come in. You're going to have much higher success rate converting this type of lead if you do it in that manner. So there it is. Those are the 3 steps to converting a Zillow lead at a very high rate. 1, you have to have an amazing first phone call, and you have to deep dive. Why are they calling on this home? Why are they calling on it right now? What specifically with this home, this area are they looking for? Then you have to have a great follow-up plan. You have to set an appointment with your follow-up call. And in this appointment, you have to provide a lot of value, and then you have to follow up. And you can't just be generic. It can't be just a generic drip. Go a step above. That is when you're going to start seeing it. You're going to really start converting this at a very high rate and make that investment that you're making worth your while.